Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the June Madison Milwaukee Downtown Exchange, where the two largest downtowns in the state of Wisconsin talk about opportunities to connect, to grow, and to bring more investment into our downtowns. I'm Jason Ilster, president of Downtown Madison, Inc., and the Madison Milwaukee Downtown Exchange is a partnership between Downtown Madison, Inc., DMI, and our friends at Milwaukee Downtown. We're going to hear from Milwaukee Downtown's president and CEO in just a second, hear about all things happening in the city of Milwaukee. Before we do that, though, we have to thank our partners here today who make this event possible. Our major series sponsor is our friends at Reinhardt. Reinhardt is an exceptional firm here in both Madison and Milwaukee. Their leaders care deeply about the downtowns, put their time, their energy, and their efforts into making sure that Madison and Milwaukee downtowns are a success, and we're hugely thankful for their service on our boards and all they do to help our two downtowns. So please do check out Reinhardt for all of your legal needs. They're a full service operation, again, both in Milwaukee and downtown, with offices proudly in our downtowns. Our supporting series sponsors are Whitflea, an incredible accounting firm throughout the entire state and across the entire nation, and Bolt. And we are excited today to hear from Carrie Beck, who is the Director of Business Development for Bolt, about everything that's happening at Bolt, company that's truly helping build our downtowns. Carrie, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks this morning. We have a beautiful day today, so I have no complaints here. Thank you. As you said, I'm Carrie Beck with the Bolt Company. I serve as the Director of Business Development for both our Madison and Milwaukee operations. And on behalf of Bolt, we're very proud to sponsor DMI Milwaukee Downtown's Madison Milwaukee Downtown Exchange Series. For those who may be unfamiliar with Bolt, Bolt is a 135-year-old family-managed and employee-owned construction company. And we have deep roots here in Wisconsin, and of our 18 offices nationwide, we actually have 7 offices throughout Wisconsin, including here in Madison and Milwaukee. And we are builders. We are builders innovating to help clients build best-in-class commercial projects at the speed of commerce. And with the passion for helping our clients in diverse markets that include healthcare, industrial, education, life science, energy, Bolt has the tools to uncover the possibilities. So as a local Madison and Milwaukee-based employer, we share the interest as really the same interest as many of you do. We want to see our local communities thrive with opportunities and do our part to ensure our great cities remain a place where people want to live, work, and play. So I'm looking forward to hearing today's panelists speak to the importance and impact of large events and conferences in our cities. And really, it's thanks to their leadership and hard work from their teams, Milwaukee and Madison has gained eyes and attention on a national platform, actually make that a worldwide stage. So thank you to DMI and Milwaukee Downtown for your collaboration and hosting today's discussion. Thanks, Jason.
Well, thank you, Carrie, and thanks to the Bolt Company. You're absolutely right. That was a good setup. Maybe, Carrie, we'll just give the reins back to you. You could moderate. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, large events, we are now, our eyes are on us, particularly Milwaukee over the next couple of months. And we're going to jump into a great panel discussion with two leaders that are going to talk about the importance of large events and conferences to downtown. Tourism has a huge effect on downtown. We're going to bring in my colleague, the president and CEO of Milwaukee Downtown, Beth Weir, to talk about, from the downtown perspective, why are large events so important? I think the timing today is perfect, because yesterday the state of Wisconsin Department of Tourism announced the economic spend, the economic impact for tourism throughout the state. And guess who was number 1 and number 2? Milwaukee had $2.3 million, or billion, B with a B. Billion, thank you, Peggy, yes, $1 billion in economic spending in their county, and much of that in downtown, and the exact same in Madison with $1.5 billion, the highest numbers that I know Dane County in the Madison area has ever had, as has Milwaukee. And so this is a very timely conversation. Beth, why is tourism and particularly large events so important to Milwaukee's downtown?
Well, I think overall, and thank you, Jason, and thanks to our presenting sponsor, Reinhardt, and our supporting sponsors as well. It is critically important, obviously, for us for a variety of reasons in terms of just being a very, very strong economic engine for all of the people who live and work in downtown Milwaukee. A significant stronghold for us, tourism that we're bringing in, and the strength of our nighttime economy. And we've had conversations around that industry, and there are multiple commercial corridors and nighttime entertainment districts in the city of Milwaukee. And they really are the face, and they present that personality and character for Milwaukee. So much of the work and effort that Peggy and Amber do in selling our cities and in bringing in these hundreds of thousands of visitors is really churning that economic engine for us. And we all know, and Peggy is so great about sharing her data and the follow-up surveys from delegates who visit our community, that many people who come here are, of course, surprised by the great quality of life and the experience that they have when they visit Milwaukee. So it really helps to elevate us, to attract more investment, repeat visitors, and of course, continues to support our economy in many, many ways. I think events and conventions are extremely important to the city of Milwaukee and to the state of Wisconsin. Congratulations to both of our cities and our fabulous women leading those communities that are selling our cities. But also, I'm excited as we're getting ready for a very, very busy summer in the city of Milwaukee. We're getting our house in order and getting things ready. And but for Peggy's great work in selling our city, we wouldn't be quite as excited as we are, knowing that we're going to be welcoming hundreds of thousands of guests into our city. We are busy preparing our infrastructure as we speak. Red, white, and blue flowers being installed, a major significant installation at the intersection of Milwaukee and Wisconsin, making sure everything is beautiful, shiny. Our team members are ready to greet our guests, and we are so happy and so grateful for what this does, elevating the visibility of Milwaukee, not only downtown Milwaukee, but the city, the region, and the state. And I'm looking so forward to hearing from Peggy and Amber today, and I extend my deep gratitude for everyone's time who is joining us here and for all that you do to continue to support our tourism industries in our great cities. So thank you for the opportunity, and Jason, thank you so much for your ongoing leadership. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And here to everything you just said. It truly is important. Tourism, particularly large events and conferences, are so important for both of our downtowns across the country. We have an excellent panel discussion today. We are so pleased to welcome Peggy Williams-Smith, who is the President and CEO of Visit Milwaukee, and Amber Wiesa, who is the Director of Destination Services for Destination Madison. How are you both doing today?
Great.
Good. I mean,
Doing great, Jason. Thank you.
it's a nice weather. It's some nice weather in both cities, and this is exactly why we live in these communities. We're going to start off with a question just to level set here. How do large events and conferences impact the health, the vitality, and economic strength of both downtown Madison and downtown Milwaukee? We'll start with you, Peggy. Well, how important are these large events to the health and vitality?
They support our hospitality businesses, which in turn supports, as we just found out yesterday, over 27,000 jobs in Milwaukee County alone. Sometimes as a visitor, it's the first time someone is introduced to our city. And as you heard Beth say, a lot of times we hear, I didn't realize how great Milwaukee was. So the first time someone sees your city, if they weren't born here, is as a visitor. So that's incredibly impactful. And then they bring substantial economic benefits to the host city. The influx of visitors, including, everyone who's coming in, vendors. When we host industry events, our fellow partners around the country get to see what we are. And hosting events can certainly help foster a sense of pride amongst locals as well.
I mean, it really often is the first time you have someone come to your city, and it really can have a pronounced effect on their opinion. And then they could, who knows, maybe they're going to move here. Maybe they could start their business here. It really is an important part of our total economic strength, but particularly in the downtown areas. Amber, the same. How do these large conferences, these events at, say, the Monona Terrace and at the different hotels, how do they really impact the economic strength of Madison's downtown?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just echo everything Peggy said.
Sure.
It really, it starts in the convention center, like you said, in Monona Terrace, and the hotels. That, of course, brings great business for them. But then it just expands out from there. If they're here, they're maybe on their own for dinner or lunches at time. They're walking to the convention center and grabbing a coffee. They're getting to experience the Capitol building. We always tell people, take a shortcut through the Capitol and make sure you look up at the Dome and just experience the really the heart of downtown here while you're here. And you know, we love our conventions, but you got to get out of the convention center a little too and support all the local businesses. And then of course the employment. We were super excited to see those economic impact numbers and almost a 5% increase in hospitality employment in 2023. So we're just excited to see that all keep recovering and keep expanding, and what supports tourism supports our local residents as well.
I think it's important to talk about the employment, you know, as someone that used to work in hospitality, how important these large conferences really are. They fill a lot of room nights, they fill a lot of restaurants. Peggy, you said 27,000 employees in Milwaukee County. Amber, if I remember correctly, somewhere between 18 and 19,000 employees in Dane County.
Exactly.
There goes my dog barking. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Millie, very much. Appreciate it. She's very excited about this, but that's almost 50,000 employees between the two cities. You know, that has real impact and a lot of great jobs in the cities. How important is tourism, and particularly in the conferences, to the economic strength of the employee base? And Peggy, we'll start with you. You know, 27,000 employees, that's a lot of folks. That's one of the highest number of employees in any business area in each of our regions. Why do these large events really matter so much to the employee base?
Well, I started my career in hospitality nearly 35 years ago, and I worked my way up. I started as a bartender and a waitress, started selling and servicing weddings, became a banquet manager, and throughout my time with Marcus, ended up as a senior vice president of operations. And a lot of jobs in hospitality that are well-paying don't require a college education. So our industry supports those who maybe can't afford to go to school or don't want to go to school, or education isn't their thing, but you can still get far ahead just by working in the industry. It's an industry of people and servant leadership. And I think that that's different than a lot of different industries you see, where you need to know more specifics about how you can move ahead.
You and I had the same track, and I started as a bell person and was able to work my way up to general manager. Actually, you know, worked in hotels in Milwaukee and the Iron Horse and whatnot. It really is a profession that you can really still rise up from the bottom and get all the way to the top. Amber, 18,000 employees. You know, I know here in downtown it's about 5,000 employees. That's, you know, 10% of the total employee base in the downtown alone. And this has a huge impact in Madison as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, none of these events could take place without those employees and those people working as hard as they do, whether it's in a hotel or a restaurant or, you know, attraction, all of the great shops on State Street, you know, it all comes together. But of course, when people come to Madison, for an event, they want to do those other things as well, like enjoy the restaurants. And that takes everyone in the restaurant to really support that and make sure that people have a good experience while they're here.
Yeah, you really are in a people-oriented business, and we're only as good as the people that we have. You know, we've heard on State Street alone, I don't know the numbers in Milwaukee, but some of these retailers say that 80% of their retail business comes from the events and the tourists, sometimes just the locals, right? The folks from Middleton or from Monona or Fitchburg that are coming in, but certainly the folks that are coming in from across the country. It makes a big difference, and that hires folks. All right, Peggy, we're just going to start with one of the biggest questions. I think why we're having this conversation today is the Republican National Convention is heading to Milwaukee here. I don't want to scare you, but just in a few weeks, how important is the Republican National Convention going to be for the Milwaukee region and specifically for downtown Milwaukee?
You know, hosting a profile event like the RNC, and we're sharing this, you know, it's not just Milwaukee, we're sharing it all the way up to you guys in Madison. You know, it puts Milwaukee in the national and international spotlight. In the past couple of weeks, I've done interviews with international news outlets who are doing pre-roll interviews so that they can air them during the convention, and not about the convention, but about the city, what it is that makes Milwaukee special. That's something that would not be happening if we were not hosting the Republican National Convention. It's the, you know, what will happen when they're here. It will showcase our city's infrastructure, our culture, our attractions. The heightened visibility will improve our city's image and attract, well, maybe not so much improve, but showcase our city's image. I think that's a big piece of it. You know, my goal at some point, as I'm sure Beth's goal, is that we stop hearing that we're a best kept secret. I want people to come here because they're like, wow, I need to get to Milwaukee. And this is why, because it is so awesome. That hence why we're doing a lot of the things we're doing. That's why we helped to bring Top Chef to Wisconsin, because we knew we needed to talk about how great we are. And then preparing for large events like this can lead to improvements in the city's infrastructure and development. You know, economic development. After the announcement of the DNC, we saw several hotel developments, restaurant developments, retail developments go into place. Obviously, they stopped during COVID and then reopened shortly before COVID, before they thought the DNC would take place. But these developments benefit residents long after the events are gone. And we saw that with the DNC, and we're seeing it with the RNC as well.
You know, you talked about how important it is to say, look, we're not a best kept secret. We are great, and come on here. I mean, let's be honest, Peggy, the Cops custard is so good. People should just come anyway. I mean, have you had a better dairy dessert in your life?
I grew up going to Cops. I grew up down the street from the Cops on 76th and Layton. So no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And so does Kristen Kish. So that
Yes.
and Gail Simmons. So that's good.
Yes, I mean, I will say, well, this is not a large event or conference, but I got to say, we have to say a huge thank you to Peggy, Amber, Ellie, and the team at Destination Madison for what they've done to bring Top Chef here. I mean, the drone shots alone of our downtowns, they're literally giving me goosebumps now today, and I've seen it 100 times over. We're not a best kept secret. We have great custard. We have great Babcock. Peggy, come your next orange chocolate custard is on us. But Amber, talk about, the RNC is obviously a signature event. There's going to be, the eyes of the world will be on it. But this does, as Peggy said, impacts the entire state. This is how large this conference is. What will the impact on Madison be from the Republican National Convention?
Yeah, it'll definitely, we'll definitely have the positive impacts here in Madison as well. We have a handful of hotels, quite a few hotels, primarily in the downtown area, as well as on the east side, that are planning to host blocks. So we're, looking forward to all that coming together. And then we know that there are going to be some days at the convention, especially, towards the front end, where they're not necessarily going to Milwaukee, first thing in the morning. They've got some time. So we want them to get out and enjoy the restaurants. I have heard a lot of people will want to check out the golf scene, whether that's at U Ridge here in Madison or anywhere in the area. Get out and golf, enjoy the beautiful weather, and then just enjoy our city as well. So, and even it comes down to everything, even to transportation. The economic impact for all of the busing companies that are getting everyone to and from the convention safely, whether it's to Madison or other parts of the state that are hosting that. So it's really great to see that partnership with Milwaukee and host these events and show that we can host these events. And what opportunities does that open up for the future, where maybe we can't do the entire thing, maybe Milwaukee can't do the entire thing, but we've got great options to we're just down the interstate, and how do we bring those show that we can really host these premier events in the state.
I mean, two thoughts on what you both just said. I think it's important for the public to understand how much coordination there is between the two largest cities. I think oftentimes people feel like we're not Hatfields and McCoys, but there's a lot of work that's happening between these two cities. Madison has so much to offer Milwaukee, and vice versa. Milwaukee has so much to offer. And in fact, we have different skill sets than they do, and they have different skill sets than we do. And I think that we're 75 miles apart. We're an hour and 15 minutes downtown to downtown. There's a lot of work happening between these organizations. This event is a perfect example of that. So I just want to say a huge thank you to Peggy, to Amber, to Ellie, to Jamie, and Kate and the team at Destination Madison for all that they do for these events. Second, golf. You brought up golf. There are some large events. Peggy, just a couple of years ago, you hosted the Ryder Cup just a few, not even an hour, a little over an hour north of you, Erin Hills. I'm probably dating myself. That was probably 6-7 years ago now. But these large sporting events also have a huge impact. Obviously, the NBA Finals, which we hope the Bucks go back again, right? That's a play-to-play one. But how important are these large sports events for your region, but really for the entire state, even if they are centered around the Milwaukee area?
I think that I was speaking to one of my counterpart in Detroit, and they haven't had a great sports team in a while, and the Lions were winning this year. And we were at an event and he said to me, why didn't you tell me how incredible it is to have a winning sports team? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, the civic pride that comes along with that. And really, when we sell the city, it's so much easier to sell our city when the people who live here are speaking well of the city. It makes it more authentic in how we sell it. And I think that sports plays a large part in that. You know, when the Bucks won in 2021, my husband will often say to me, yeah, you know what? Your job's not that hard. You had the Bucks win a championship. You were already hosting the DNC. I'm like, he's like, it just made your job all that more easy. I'm like, oh yeah, don't forget about COVID, but we'll put that aside. You know, but it does amazing things. Right, hosting Ryder Cup in September of 2021 was the highest rates that this market has ever seen ever. You can still see the spike coming out of COVID where we were down here and then the spike just shot straight up for the Ryder Cup. We're hosting the Women's US Open next year. We're working with the folks out at Erin Hills. So anyone on the call who wants to volunteer or wants to be a sponsor, it's going to be amazing. If anyone watched it this year, a lot of fun things surrounding the Women's Open. So we're really excited about that and all that sports has to offer. And let's not forget that I think maybe we're in a serious contention to go to a World Series this year for the Milwaukee Brewers as well.
Are you making a call? Is that a call?
I am. I'm making a call. The year that now
Wow.
we've already messed it up a little, but the year that Cleveland was hosting, the Indians went to the World Series.
Oh, really?
They
Well,
did.
okay.
So
Then
there's
okay.
precedent set. There's precedent set.
I got a bit of a problem here then, because I'm a Minnesota kid, and yes, I am a Vikings fan and a Twins fan and all the rest. Everyone knows that.
I feel sorry. So that's okay.
Because actually, I just saw a statistic since the Twins won in 1991. No other of the there's a dozen cities in America that have all four major pro sports franchises. We're the only city that hasn't won at least 2 championships. We've won 0. So, so I've got that going for me, which is not nice. I don't know where I was going with this. I have no idea. Anyway, I think this is important, right? Sports really does matter. It matters in Madison significantly. Amber, you and I remember those Final Four runs that the Badgers had. The bars on State Street, everything was packed. You know, we know from our friends at UW Athletics, a single football game, one football game, is a $19 million economic impact for Dane County. That's not even for the state, right? And we, you know, this year Alabama is coming to Camp Randall Stadium, 11 o'clock. Get your tickets now. You're not going to get your tickets now, but you know how unless you know somebody. Amber, how is, you know, sports is important. It's different, right? Professional versus college, but boy, the Badgers matter to downtown and to Madison, don't they?
They really do. And you may not get tickets, and I don't think you'll get a hotel room for that Alabama game either. So hope you have a friend or someone with an Airbnb maybe. But yeah, it's huge. We're so fortunate to have UW and, you know, have it right in our downtown, the heart of downtown. We've got the Capitol, we've got State Street, and then we've got UW. So it's all connected. People can come park by the Capitol, you know, grab lunch or liquid lunch, whatever, you know, they're feeling that day, and walk down State Street, get to Camp Randall, get to the Cole Center or the Field House. Of course, we love our UW women's volleyball and all the amazing success they've had and will continue to have. And then we just, you know, that just helps our sports team bring other events as well. We hosted a couple youth volleyball tournaments this spring, and we'll continue to host those. We are hosting the USA Volleyball All-Stars next summer. Very, very excited for that, to bring in some of the premier youth volleyball players in the country. And so, you know, that just all, they're excited to come because, you know, they know UW, and we've got Love Volleyball also with women's professional sports continuing to grow in Madison. And so it all just plays together, whether it's college or pro or the kids seeing all of this and wanting to get involved, local or coming for their tournaments. You know, it all just helps to grow the sports scene.
And speaking of women's volleyball, Amber, I do have to bring up that Wisconsin is coming to Milwaukee over Labor Day weekend this year.
Yes.
We're doing the women's volleyball showcase. I don't know if everyone remembers on the call what happened in Nebraska, which is their entire identity in Lincoln is college sports. And they had over 72,000 people at a women's volleyball game a couple of years ago. So we're welcoming Wisconsin, Minnesota, Stanford, and Texas over Labor Day weekend this year. So if you're interested in women's volleyball, get your tickets now. It'll be throughout the weekend, Sunday and Monday, and it's going to be a spectacular event.
Here. Funny thing you said, Peggy, I was going to tell you, what my secret tip about downtown Madison is to go to a women's volleyball game at the field house. I mean, it is electric. They won a national championship a few years ago. My second one is to go to LeBon to watch a women's hockey team who seem to win the NCAA championship every single year. Amber, this is a question that was not on the sheet, so you're welcome. What's the attendance how many seats are there at Camp Randall? It's more than 72,000, I think. I think it's like 80.
Ooh, I didn't know there was.
Well, you can look that up on your Google Docs.
Let me Google that.
My point is,
I think it's over
Peggy,
80. I believe
Peggy,
so.
don't you think we should all work together with Chris McIntosh and the team to host a volleyball game at Camp Randall, and we can break Nebraska's record? Let's do it. Let's do it.
I think that this industry is so collaborative, much like the downtown bid directors industry is so collaborative. We're working with Green Bay right now. We're hosting a little thing called the NBA or the NFL draft in 2025. And all of us from around the state are involved in helping to make sure that they pull that off and that it's as spectacular as it was in Detroit this past year. So, we're excited to showcase what everyone else around the state is doing because it only makes us more attractive and gets us in the news. And the things that are happening at Travel Wisconsin, the one-time funds that have been infused into the state have been game changers for us. It really helps to drive those economic impact numbers you see. Being able to share the information with our teams of where they're marketing so that we can tag on to that as Milwaukee or as Madison and say, if you're already coming to Wisconsin, why not come here? All of those things have been incredibly impactful. Having a governor who shows up on every single one of the charts. So in our business, our industry tracks governors who support tourism, and they always show us the top 10, and Governor Evers is always in the top 10 in his support of tourism. And that makes a difference when we're out selling the cities.
Absolutely. Want to make sure that all of you know that are listening now, we will have time for your questions in about 15, 20 minutes or so. If you have a question, you can insert them in either the chat or in the Q&A function. Yes, I am capable of looking at multiple screens at once. So put them in either the chat or the Q&A function, and we will ask Amber and Peggy your questions. Peggy, right at the end there, you brought up narrative, and you brought it up a couple of times. How important are these large events in shaping the narrative for our cities, both Madison and Milwaukee?
Large events bring substantial economic benefits to the city. The influx of visitors, it highlights first our ability and capacity to host major events, potentially attracting future conventions and large gatherings, but it also highlights the local community economically, culturally, perception-wise, and infrastructurally. All of those things are incredibly important. I often say, I'm going to brag on Beth for a little while. Beth has been in her position for 25 years, and my job would be infinitely harder if Beth Wyrick was not in the position she's in. I am thankful every day for the work that she has done over the last quarter of century, because it has made my job a lot easier. When I'm bringing people in for site tours from who've been touring other cities, other of our peer cities around the country, they are consistently amazed by the cleanliness of downtown, of the welcomeness. That's her public service ambassadors, her clean sweep ambassadors. All of that has fundamentally changed Milwaukee, and our residents see it. I talk about it all the time because it makes a difference. And now they're talking about it, and that makes it easier for us to sell the city. So, I thank Beth and her team every day and Matt as well, for the work that they do, because it makes it so much easier for us to do our job.
Peggy, can I put an exclamation point on what you just said about Beth? I know the last Madison Milwaukee Downtown Exchange, we had a great discussion about Beth and Beth's amazing career, but as someone that is lucky enough to serve on the International Downtown Association board, a board that Beth served on for years, Beth is a force internationally in downtowns. How fortunate our region is, but particularly Milwaukee is, to have one of the great creative thinkers, innovators, leaders for downtowns in one of our downtowns. So thank you to my mentor. Amber, are you going to say those nice things about me too? Just kidding,
Of
Amber.
course, Jason, of course. And
No,
genuinely
Amber,
mean it.
I'm just kidding. Amber and I have known each other a very, very long time. You know, how is the narrative of Madison right now when it comes to event folks that book the events, right? You know, this is a really important part. There's key people, right, that are involved in the decisions in bringing these large conferences and events. What is the narrative of Madison as an event city to those folks right now?
Well, Jason, I think we go back to Buckhannon Parade days. So those were the good days.
We do. We
5 years
literally
ago.
were like forcing them into not forcing them into the ground. JP Cullen actually did a great job of putting that in. But yeah, we we were there actually screwing them into the ground.
Yeah, I love to see those around town still. So that was a great project. But yeah, we love to get people here. We always say if we can get event planners to Madison, then it kind of sells itself. Like once they see it, if they haven't been before, or maybe they're not super familiar, once they see how walkable everything is, how clean everything is, the Capitol kind of at the heart of everything, and then the downtown being having so many locally owned businesses, that's something we love to brag about. Of course, you can find Walgreens or other chains when you need them, but we really lean into supporting locally, and even as far as restaurants that go out on Saturdays and get their food from the farmers market and cook that up for you at dinner. We love to highlight that and see that on Top Chef, to see how incredible that is to our city. But so we always hear really great remarks about how friendly and walkable the city is on our post-event surveys with event planners. Those are consistent feedback that we receive for Madison, and that just it helps add life to the downtown. You've got people walking around with their event badges on. You've got people who are going to work at the Capitol, people out who are students at the university. So it just makes everything very vibrant, and you always know there's something going on, or there's always people out and about, whether it's a beautiful summer day today, or it's the dead of winter. There's always people out and about and enjoying the city.
One of my favorite parts of a good downtown day in Madison, or I'm sure Milwaukee is the same, is seeing all of those lanyards around and seeing people
Yes.
enjoying walking around the city. Peggy, I've got a two-part question for you, because I think it's important to understand the impact of tourism in general, but certainly large conferences and events on the local community, right? How important it is. You brought up, about 20 minutes ago, some businesses that were literally opening up for the Republican National Convention. So two-part question. How do the locals benefit from all of this great tourism that's coming in? And then two, love you to talk about the shining jewel we have right now in the Wisconsin Center that just opened up a few months ago. So first, again, how does tourism, in particular these large events, impact and really help the lives of local citizens? And then please talk about the Wisconsin Center.
So it's the Baird Center. Just have to correct you there really quick.
Thank you. You're totally right.
I know.
Tell
It's
our
been
friends
through
at Baird
several
that I was
iterations.
wrong. Yeah,
I've
thank
been
you.
downtown
Thank you.
for a long time.
Thank you.
First, much to what Amber said, we are a city of small owned businesses. We have over 200 independently owned and operated restaurants. The majority of our shops are non-chain, and even the chain shop we have downtown is locally owned and operated. It's Kohl's. So when we look at the impact of what tourism brings to the downtown, it's vitally important. Those people who are coming in, whether it be in those winter months where we are stacked solid with volleyball and dance and basketball tournaments, from December all the way through April, over 80,000 rooms and sports nights, with families who are coming into the city and spending money in those locally owned and operated restaurants. And the retail, as well as, sisters not playing or brothers not playing, and they go to a concert while mom or dad is with the other one at the thing. They're constantly funneling money into our economy. That's the important portion of it. The Baird Center I was here in 1998 when the original Midwest Express Center opened. It was a brand new building. It was a game changer for the city then, and it's an even bigger game changer for the city now. We did not grow at the rate of our peer cities. I was having this conversation last night with someone who asked me specifically, how do you compare to Indianapolis? And I can give a specific instance when Indianapolis took off and we didn't. And it's important to remember those things so that we don't get so far behind again. But we hosted Gen Con since its inception, huge Comic-Con type festival that would sell out the city the first week of August. It was my event to plan when I was a junior event manager at the Hilton Milwaukee City Center. And we knew that they had asked us as a city to grow with them. They knew that they were going to continue to grow and we didn't. And Indianapolis did. And Indianapolis is double the size we are. They are double the number of hotel rooms in the downtown walkable area. They're double the amount of exhibit space in their convention center. That's the bad news. The good news is that in the last 5 years, under the leadership of Marty Brooks, the board here at Visit Milwaukee, under Omar Sheck at the time, pushed to get this expansion finally completed. It was actually phase 3. It wasn't something new. It was always planned. And it is a game changer. It took us out of our top competitive cities. So we measure ourselves against 20 cities. In reports, on our star report, it's 8 cities. We were 20 out of 21 in terms of size of convention center. And we were 9 out of 10 in terms of, in size of convention center when we look at our STR report, which is how we measure hotel health. We're now 10. So we haven't jumped up to the top, but we're now squarely in the middle, which is giving us an opportunity to be seen in ways that we were never seen. Some of the events that we'll be able to host because people wouldn't look at us, because having 188,000 square feet of exhibit space doesn't get you in a tier to be seen by anyone who's looking for over 200,000. And there is a magical number with 300,000. So all of those are incredibly helpful. This is not new. We've been selling this now since the day, well, actually, the first duo event we booked was before it was actually approved. So we were prepared to have to move something if in fact the convention center expansion didn't. So we've got square dancers and college officials coming at the same time next week. They will overlap using both sides of the convention center, and that was booked over 4 years ago. The increased number of visitors we'll see specifically to the convention center, the groups that will see us and then book regional events that may not touch the convention center. And then we're also going to have modernized facilities that people will want to be at. The amount of natural light that comes into the convention center, the art that is sponsored by We Energies is fantastic. The belief in a major homegrown company that is one of the leading companies in the world to work for in Baird has put a stake in the ground and said that tourism is important. And we're gonna do the naming rights for this convention center because we know we're gonna fill it. So that's, the impact is yet to be felt because we're just starting, but we know it's going to be huge.
Well, now you've got me energized to, 1, go to the Baird Center, but 2, redouble our efforts in Madison. Amber, talk about what a potential expanded Monona Terrace and a reimagined Alliant Energy Center, albeit not downtown, but certainly downtown adjacent, in particular with the work that's happening on the Madison Lakeways project that could connect all of these. So what is happening with these projects and why is it so important that Madison invest in tourism as well?
Yeah, we are big proponents of the expansion of our convention centers, and just like Peggy said, like just to keep up and not fall behind other cities. We have, of course, a limited capacity to what we can host, and just given our size. So, but we would love to look for more opportunities to expand on that, bring larger events here, and just continue that growth. And I thank you for mentioning the Madison Lakeway. We are so excited to see that continuing to move forward and really make that connection between Alliant Energy Center and Monona Terrace, while leaving room for that Monona Terrace expansion. And at Alliant Energy Center, there is a redevelopment committee. They have been reactivated since 2022, lost a little steam of course, with COVID, but really have picked that momentum back up in the last couple of years, and recently announced 10 recommendations for redevelopment and expansion out there at Alliant Energy Center. And I think as those continue to move together, it all comes together to really make it an event corridor where we can host something. You know, we already do. We host, of course, whether it's at Monona Terrace or Alliant Energy Center, there's overlap. People are coming downtown for their dinners, or they're staying, you know, somewhere else by Alliant Energy Center, maybe for their hotels. So there's already plenty of overlap, but just continuing to lean into that and open up more opportunities.
You know, this is massively important projects, and I think it's very clear that the Downtown Madison Inc. is supporting the work that Destination Madison and we're both doing in either the Madison Lakeways project, the expansion of the Monona Terrace, and potentially a train station in and around passenger rail, which, Peggy, I could take a train to see you in just a few minutes if we had this train, right? This is really important work, and Downtown Madison Inc. is partnering with Destination Madison on much of this. And then, of course, the 164-ish acre campus that is the Alliant Energy Center, what reimagined space could be. It could be so powerful. I can answer my own question about how important the local community here in the downtown. 82% of our businesses in our business improvement district, so State Street and the Capitol Square, are locally owned. These are our neighbors that own 82%. So yes, every time a bigger chain opens up, you know, people sort of step back and, uh-oh, we're losing our downtown. No, that number is between 80 and 85% for the last 25 years. That's a number that we proudly track. Amber, next question is for you. I know that many people on this call who know me think that I am a half glass full, that I live in a bed of roses, that everything is positive. Not everything is positive. What are the challenges that you're seeing right now for large events and conferences in the Madison area?
Well, that optimism is what we love about you. So keep it
Thank
up.
you.
We all need that in our lives. But, you know, there, of course, being on an isthmus, we only have so much room, and we only have, you know, so many roads into and out of the downtown. And so that can present its challenges of how does that growth continue? How do we have space for everyone? You know, of course, you want to keep residents in mind as well. People who live in downtown, and having livable housing in the downtown area as well for the people who are supporting the hospitality community. And then just, you know, that continued expansion, how does that all come together without, you know, causing chaos on a limited amount of space here between the lakes, which is beautiful. We love being on the isthmus, of course. That is such a winning point for us, and such a beautiful, unique area to be surrounded by the water. But it does, you know, limit the logistics as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention our Embassy Suites opening up in just a couple weeks here at the late June. We're very excited to have that hotel coming right across from Monona Terrace. So just continuing to add those hotel rooms and, you know, finding the right way to be able to accommodate all of these great events.
Yeah, we're certainly thankful to the team at Raymond to open up the
Absolutely.
Embassy Suites, and also the Saddlery just down the street, NCG, and they recently opened the Moxie in the Kathy section of downtown. There's a lot of positive things happening here when it comes to new hotel rooms. What are the challenges, Peggy, you're seeing in Milwaukee for large events? You know, you obviously just opened up the Baird Center, and some of those challenges maybe have been improved, but there's still challenges left. What are those challenges for you?
I mean, I think that eventually we'll need another convention hotel. You know, we're missing a big Marriott, and we're a big convention city. So when we look at the national sales forces of the major hotel brands, obviously Marriott's a major player, and we're missing that convention size Marriott hotel. As everyone probably saw a few months ago when they talked about the NBA All-Star game coming to Milwaukee with the brand new amazing state-of-the-art 5-star Forum, we're missing those 5-star, 5-diamond hotels as well. So looking to hopefully make an impact through the convention center and what we're booking into that space that would hopefully attract that somewhere down in the next, you know, in the next 5 to 10 years.
Again, if any of our participants have questions for Amber or Peggy, please put those questions in the chat. We will get to answering those here soon. All right. Next question, Amber, is for you. What are the future trends that are impacting the large conference and event and industry business right now in both Madison and Milwaukee? You know, we're obviously always trying to be Nostradamus and look to the future, but what are you seeing? What are the future trends in the marketplace right now?
Yeah, well, I think this is a continuing trend. Everyone just really wants to have an experience. You know, the days of just sitting in a session and then getting back on the plane and going home. I think, you know, those are kind of over. Everyone wants to get out and see the city they're in, experience the local culture, learn about the history of the city, the local people, and really, you know, their experience here. And then just get to have whatever it might be, whether that's, you know, cheese and beer in Madison or in anywhere in Wisconsin, or getting out on the lakes, enjoying the downtown. You know, they just really want to enjoy the city that they're in, not just the convention itself. And you know, we love to have, if people want to bring a spouse or a partner or say, you know, come in early, stay late. Of course, we support those additional days to really make sure they can enjoy their trip here and expand on it. But I think, you know, AI in every aspect of our life is a continued discussion. You know, we don't know, of course, how that's going to affect the events industry in any way, whether that's, you know, maybe really helpful, like helping to write, getting know before you go emails, or, you know, something simple like that, or what is that going to mean for presentations and virtual aspects. You know, we've kind of, I think some of the hype around hybrid events and virtual events has passed. People have really loved being able to get back and meet in person. But there's probably some of that that's going to continue on. And, you know, how does that all continue to expand as the technology keeps going? What does that look like in the future?
Peggy, future trends that you're seeing as well in Milwaukee and across the country.
Well, many what Amber just said. I think with hybrid events, they're here to stay. They're becoming more seamless. It's a different experience than being in person, and people want to be in person, but for those that can't, that experience is becoming better. I was at a conference and I didn't realize that the AI portion was for the virtual people, so I was in it. And I was like in it while I was in the room, and I was watching how excited these people were getting and how they were interacting and talking. And then I realized, oh, this is just for the hybrid people, the people who are the virtual people, but their experience and the connections they were making were real. And I was just shocked by it. And this was our industry. So it was some of the smaller destination management organizations that couldn't afford to send all their people, but they were still able to enjoy the experience, which opens up our associations, those corporate businesses to, I mean, they understand the importance of meeting together, but AI is helping to make that virtual experience a little more seamless. AI, you know, we go to a lot of events, trade shows where we're selling to meeting planners. So all of the content that they're talking about is for the meeting planners and how they can make their meetings better. And every single one has a complete focus on AI, how they can accomplish what Amber said. People don't just want to go into a trade show floor or into a conference room and sit there for 8 hours. They want experiences, and AI can help customize and tailor those experiences to each attendee, making them feel like they belong more to that organization, especially when you talk about associations, because everyone's fighting for the same people. So that is certainly something that we're going to see continuing. You know, again, just to Amber, when we see event spaces, I think the RNC said to us, we've never seen so many event venues in a city. And they're all different, right? Because personalization, experiential, and immersive events are so important. So we see those popping up all over, and they really do make a huge difference to the groups. Because as an association, what you want to leave people feeling with is a feeling that they belonged, that they had a great experience, and that something they accomplished, either a new relationship or something when they were at your meeting. So making sure that you're focused on all of those things, and the increased use of data and analytics. You know, there are so many scary ways that we can track what you're doing, each and every one of you, and we're doing it. You know, when we made the decision to support Top Chef, we went with a company called Adara that will literally tell us if you watch Top Chef, if you travel to Milwaukee in the next 6 months through your smart TV, or if you downloaded it through your app. However, we'll be able to see if you visited Milwaukee. And that to me is just, that's used in every facet of our industry moving forward. Is it helps us to better market to the right people, figure out where we're not making an impact and how we can make an impact. So I think that all of those things are, and I also still think, you know, in Milwaukee, we're fortunate. Again, I think a lot of that has to do with Beth and our downtown as to why our occupancy is so low. I mean, so high, our vacancies are so low. But you do see remote and decentralized workforces all over the country. And that means people need to come together to meet, which is good for our business.
Yeah, and you know, Milwaukee, in some ways, Madison, but Milwaukee certainly has been a leader in getting folks back to the office. And you've seen significant corporate investment in the downtown, Milwaukee Tool or whoever that is, right? I mean, this is massively important. It creates vitality and energy that the tourists and the event goers want to see. No one wants to go to a dead downtown. You just don't. That's just not something, right, Peggy and Amber? You just don't. You want that experience, and it starts with people. All right. Got just a couple minutes left. Amber, you got a magic wand. You could change anything or add any sort of infrastructure or anything you want to make sure that you're more competitive to get large events and conferences in Madison. What are you doing with that magic wand?
Well, you brought up Amtrak earlier, so I'm gonna lean into that. That I think would be a game changer for our city. You know, add that rail connection to Milwaukee, Chicago, Twin Cities, and you know, give people another transportation mode to get to Madison. We love our airport. You know, we love people who regionally or across the state who can drive in, but from a sustainability standpoint and just continuing to expand. We are really hopeful to see that Amtrak development keep continuing, keep going. And if I had a magic wand to speed that up, that would be great.
We're working on it. We're working on it. I'm sure Peggy is too. This is good for them, right?
Absolutely.
To have multiple trains a day. Magic wand, Peggy. What do you want to see in Milwaukee?
Enhanced public transportation system is it's vitally important to tourists. It's what they want. They don't want to have to get in their car and go from place to place. I mentioned a little bit, hotel and accommodation upgrades. I would love smart city infrastructure. You know, I look at it with envy when I see it in other cities. I think it's something that would set us apart and show the incredible talent of the people that help to run the city. So I think that that's another thing that I look at and think if I could wave a magic wand, we'd have all the money that could happen.
All right. Got just a couple minutes left. We're going to bring back in our friend Beth Weir, President and CEO of Milwaukee Downtown. But we're going to do something a little different to end. We do this normally at another virtual series we host. So surprise, Amber, Peggy, and Beth. You didn't know this was coming. We're gonna play a game called the Fast and Furious 5. And I want you two to say what your favorite thing is in the other city. So Peggy and Beth, you say Madison, Amber, you say Milwaukee. In the downtowns. I mean, not that we don't love Fitchburg or Brookfield, but we love the downtowns. Peggy, what's your favorite restaurant in downtown Madison?
Oh my goodness. There are so
You can say your favorite child. I'm not asking Ellie that question.
No, I get it. I get it. But you're asking the old fashioned.
Oh, good choice. Beth, what about you? You can't say the old fashioned.
I can't even tell you. I'm embarrassed. All of them. I don't know.
Yeah,
State Street,
I'll give your answer.
backing
Harvey
along
House.
State Street. Sorry.
Amber, what about you in Milwaukee?
Well, I'm going to say the public market. Specifically, is it On the Bus? I hope that's right. Which is a vegan
Yes.
vendor in the public market. I love that, but there's so many options. Everybody can get what's best for them.
All right, Amber, what's your
Yes.
favorite either sporting event or concert you've ever been to in Milwaukee?
Oh boy. I love, love, love Milwaukee Irish Fest. I wasn't able to make it last year. I'm hoping to get there this year, but it's kind of a tradition that I have with some friends to have a good time at Milwaukee Irish Fest.
Awesome. And Peggy, Beth, either of you can answer first.
Farmers
No,
market.
Madison. Farmers market. Yeah.
Badger football games. My husband
Two good
had
answers.
tickets for 35 years, so we spent a wet anniversary there. We gave the sweet tickets to someone else, sat in his seats, and just had an amazing time.
I love that answer. And I gotta say, Peggy, thanks to your and Allie's work, one Tom Colicchio did say that the Dane County Farmers Market was the best farmers market in the world. So Peggy, I owe you one. I'm buying you and your Tim. I've known your husband forever. I'm buying you dinner for that one because I've said that on stage about 100,000 times since it happened just a couple of weeks ago. All right, last question. Peggy, favorite out-of-towner thing to do in Madison? So you take an out-of-towner into Madison. What's the one thing you want to show them?
Well, that's the farmer's market.
Okay, well, that's a good answer.
The farmer's
Yep.
market, or it depends. I mean, if it's during the winter, then you take them to State Street and
There you go.
hit all the bars. It just
Thank
depends
you.
on what time of year it is.
Perfect. Your commission check, Peggy, is on the way. Beth, what's your
Well,
answer?
I do love our state capital. I really do. I mean, I almost said my favorite thing to do in Madison is to go and advocate and lobby for support of Milwaukee initiatives, but not my favorite thing, but an important thing. But I do love showing off our state capital and of course walking around downtown and State Street for sure.
You know, many people don't know there's a free observation deck up on the 6th floor, 360-degree view of the isthmus. I literally, every tour I give of downtown, it starts with that. Amber, you got the last answer. I don't remember the question I even. Oh, your favorite tourist spot in Milwaukee.
Okay, well, not exactly downtown, but you can't beat a Brewers game with the tailgate beforehand.
Oh, so good. And remember, we had a call earlier today from Peggy Williams-Smith at about, I don't know, 8:22, where she said the Brewers are going to win
Yes.
the World Series.
Yes. Go Peggy.
Go Brewers. Go Peggy. I love
Manifest
that
that.
boldness. Want to say a huge thank you to Peggy Williams-Smith, President and CEO of Visit Milwaukee, and Amber Weiser, the Director of Destination Services at Destination Madison. Thank you both for being here. Beth, thank you for being here today. As always, we give Beth the last word.
Well, I just want to say thanks so much to both of you for your leadership and all that we do to keep Wisconsin on the map. It has been a really great conversation. Thank you for your kindness and all that you do. And Jason, you are a phenomenal, energetic, and inspirational leader. And my favorite thing that was said today about downtown Milwaukee and downtown Madison from Amber and Peggy is we're just getting started. So look out, world. Wisconsin is coming for you. So thanks so much, everybody. Jason, thank you for your leadership, and Matt for all of his support. I love the inspiration these sessions always bring to me, and I hope everybody else who participated today feels the same way as we continue to sell the great state of Wisconsin.
I second that, Beth. Thank you very much for your kind words. And thank you all for joining us on the Madison Milwaukee Downtown Exchange, brought to you by Downtown Madison Inc. and Milwaukee Downtown with our partners, Reinhardt, Bolt, and Whippley. We'll see you soon. We have another one scheduled here in just a month or two's time. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in both of our downtowns. Talk to you soon, and bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.